Two things went viral over the weekend, almost within hours of each other, actually, that produced completely polarized responses. I found it pretty interesting. In a world where things that go viral are pretty sensational and stupid, I found this one pretty interesting. These weren't mixed reactions. These aren't even going to be mixed reactions from you right now. These are two consistent, across the board, strong reactions, which is perfectly fine. I get both of them. I really do. Now, having said that, I'm going to pour cold water on both and make you think. Go out of my way to make you think. Go out of my way to dump it back on you. One reaction is this. I say is, was, but I think many of you are going to have the same responses, and that's cool. One reaction is this. I hate this, and it's ruining college football. The other common reaction, although I didn't see it quite as much, but, it's probably 60-40, the responses, after the viral videos hit. The other common response was, well, good for the players. It's time that they use the system like the system has used them. That kind of thing. Payback, they're owed, that kind of stuff. Those are the two responses. There really aren't that many variations of either one of those. They were overwhelming. I think they're overwhelming still. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I read a lot of them, and I bet I'm going to get back. In fact, I'm certain of this, and I have a response. But what I'll get back is this. Why don't you shut up? You must be jealous. This wasn't the way things were when you were playing way back when. I'll get that back. That's cool, too. And my response to that, of course, is actually, anyone that wants to say that, it's very much like when I was playing college football, big-time college football. It's very similar. Players were getting cars and money from sugar daddies then, and you know what? Nobody was any better off in the end. I suspect it's going to turn out the same way again. It did nothing for the players, for everyone who wants to act as if they are ready to rally behind players. Let me tell you something. Where the sugar daddy then, the sugar daddy now, the cars then, the cars now, all the stuff. I suspect there's far less stuff, probably far less drugs now, but all the stuff, all the good times, I'll take that because I deserve it. A player wasn't any better off soon after. They go back, everybody ends up in the same place again. I bet you it's not going to be any different. Where did all this come from? Two pretty interesting things. The fact that's really interesting is the fact that they happened so closely together. Over the weekend, they could not have told the story of where college football, the sport, is any better. I mean, the visual just did it all. It really did. First up, the Baylor football coaching staff. The Baylor football coaching staff, and this was strategic, and this was planned, and their intent was to get some buzz. And their intent was to wear some shirts that generated buzz. They need a break to the clutter, okay? So all that makes some sense. They decided to bust out with shirts that say, "We pay players." That's all it says. We pay players. Okay, we pay players. It was intended to get a reaction, and it worked to a degree. I don't know why they had to put that on the shirts. I mean, I suspect there was some sort of intention behind that. That's fine. But the campaign generated some buzz. We pay players on their practice shirts. Maybe they have it on hats and on front doors and bumper stickers and everything. I'm pretty sure this was intentional. So the message was out. Unfortunately for Baylor and the "We Pay Players" shirt and the buzz that it was generating, they were quickly upstaged by the gaudiest, most over-the-top operator in all of the sport of college football. That's Texas. Baylor had the buzz going until Texas came along with its Lamborghinis. They don't like to hide the fact that they have Lamborghinis, deal in Lamborghinis. They brag about their Lamborghinis, and they were not bashful about posting pictures. So here's Baylor with your cute little T-shirts, we pay players, and then all of a sudden, wow, here comes the greater buzz. Here come the Texas players standing with their brand new Lamborghinis. Other people have shirts and restaurant deals. Texas has Lamborghinis and jets. In 3 hours, it could tell you exactly where that sport is. The posts, both of them, generated a lot of buzz, a lot of responses, a lot of reactions. It shows the Texas one showed 2 Texas players flashing hook'em horns by their brand new Lamborghinis. Each with their own car, by the way. A new Lamborghini, I don't know the exact price, but I'm going to guess it starts at about $275,000. That's my guess. So Baylor's slogan is, we pay players. The Texas Lamborghini connection is, we pay players the most, right? In one afternoon, we pay players, we pay them the most. Okay, so let me ruin it for everyone. Let me do that. I'll ruin it for everyone by presenting some perspective. I know no one likes perspective. No one likes nuance. No one even likes peeling away at issues, but I'm going to do it, and you can decide what you want to do with how I respond, how I dump it back in your lap. Has it killed this initial reaction that I saw a lot of? It's killing college football. It's destroying college football, blah, blah, blah. Has it killed college football? The turning everything into mercenaries. Again, don't pretend I don't know what's going on. I lived through the exact same thing. I mean, I did. It's really not all that different, except you could say, well, this time it's not against the rules. That's correct. But the result is the same. It's still sugar daddies running around giving players stuff. Expensive stuff. More expensive than ever, actually. Is it killing college football like a lot of people say? Is it cool? The other response a lot of people have. It's cool that players are taking the power and getting the cash and toys. So that's where people get stuck, right? I mean, that's where, a lot of people want to say, right on, empower the players. Be careful. They're not empowered. You're wrong. I'm going to tell you over and over again, you're wrong. It doesn't work out. Okay, so the answer to it's going to kill the sport, right? You had Baylor wearing shirts, we pay players, Texas flashing Lamborghinis. I mean, brand new Lamborghinis. And they do it often, as everyone now knows. The answer is that going to kill the sport? The answer is that depends. Almost, not yet, and yes. There. Those are the answers. All of those things. It'll kill it in a lot of ways. It's in the process of killing it in a lot of ways. It just depends on where you're coming from. The structureless, lawless cash grab by players from sugar daddies will kill the sport for everyone but the 20 wealthiest programs. There. Start there. It'll neuter pretty much the overall sport by making them non-competitive and second tier. If you're going to be outside of the 20 wealthiest, I didn't say the best, I said the wealthiest. If you're going to be outside the 20 wealthiest, you're going to end up being second tier. It has no rules, no boundaries, and sooner or later, that will make it impossible to manage. Okay? Not today, maybe not a month from now, not 6 months from now. It will be impossible to manage. I've seen the chaos, lived through it. And I can tell you this from experience. The more active and powerful the sugar daddies are in the sport, legalized, okay? The more active and powerful they are, okay? That is people giving these players cash and stuff. It's the chase for cash and stuff. The more they give, the more control and power they will want. That's what the sugar daddies will want. That's what people giving. If Baylor said we pay players, the people who give them the money are going to eventually say, I want some control. I want some power here. They answer to me, man. That's the way it used to work, and I bet you it works that way again. It's just sort of a natural progression. And so you can count on that. So has it killed the sport? It will eventually. Now, if you're of the big 20, the richest 20, you're going to laugh it all off. I mean, they're greedy as hell. They don't care. They really don't care what happens to everyone else. There's no indication they care what happens to anyone else. So, here's the thing. In the NFL, you get paid by the club, right? All this stuff about, man, they're earning the money. No, they're not. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of how players are not earning the money. Okay, in the NFL, you get paid by the club. In the NFL, you earn incentives. They're laid out. Incentives are laid out in the agreement. In college football, the current model, you get paid like an influencer. That's where this whole thing is. It's taking the economic model of influencers and pretending that it's like the NFL, and it's not at all. It's really not at all. You're not incentivized in this model. If anyone wants to argue, and I'll be the first to argue with anyone and cheer you on, if you say, man, I deserve some of that, and I'd say, yes, let's incentivize you. Absolutely. But it's not working that way. There's a perfect example of the Lamborghini picture. So has it killed the sport? Does it kill the sport if I say the wealthiest 20 or 25 or whatever that number is about to be, if they don't care if they relegate Baylor, SMU, Iowa State, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Houston, I can just, keep going down the list. Is that killing the sport if they don't care? Does that qualify as killing the sport? The industry doesn't follow any meaningful incentive formula like most contracts. They're not agreements. It's handouts, just like it used to be. Are the players cash mercenaries? Yes. Any one of us would be a cash mercenary too. A lot of us are cash mercenaries now. You decide if you think that qualifies as killing the sport because the richest 20 don't think so right now. And the fans of the richest 20 don't think so. And they don't care. I can tell you this, and you're not going to like this. I know you're not. But I don't know what team or business that would reward a defensive back with a Lamborghini. To be clear, if any one of us were 20, 21, 22, or 62, and someone offered us a Lamborghini, we would take it. My point is, in the picture, there was a new receiver at Texas with a Lamborghini and a defensive back for Texas with a Lamborghini. Should they take it? If they want. If someone offers it, take it. But I'm telling you, the model doesn't justify it. Because no one would reward a defensive back with a Lamborghini for being a part of a secondary that finished 113th in college football. It was the very reason, that same secondary, that Texas lost 2 games and should have been more. If this were the NFL, if you want to really make it about, let's make you earn the money. If this were the NFL, the people that are in that secondary that finished 113th, not only would they not be getting a Lamborghini, they'd be out. They'd get cut. Nothing works like that. It's not an incentivized model. It's not a model at all. So tell me I'm wrong. Okay, you can tell me I'm wrong about that. The other reaction, the players should get all they can from the system that has used them. I've known about this, heard about this since I was playing. I know the reaction, feel the same reaction many times. Has the system used them? The answer is yes and no. I'll pull the curtain back and it'll hurt your feelings and you won't like it because you just want to be a fan, right? You don't want to know the people. But let me let you think about this. Then you decide if the system has used them, the players. Yes, coaches and administrators make a lot of money off the show the players put on. Shoe companies use them as billboards. All of that is true. Not a new formula, by the way. But the vast majority of these football players could never and should never get into the schools. Most of the time, not even close. Most of them don't belong on college campuses academically. Again, sadly, not even close. So the athletics department, just so you know this, I mean, there's no way most, I didn't say all, don't do this thing, and don't make up some walk-on argument for me, but there's no way most of them would end up in these schools. Athletic departments hide them for the most part. I think it's despicable. I've said as much. I've given the speech often enough. I think it's pretty sad. but they need to keep them eligible. They hide them from what most college students experience. They have little connection to the school other than Football Inc. Virtually no connection. So for most of them, these scholarships they get on campus, and it's the greatest football internship you would ever get. I mean, to act as if the schools are giving out nothing is bogus. That is a bogus argument. It's not true at all. It's the best internship any one of these 17-year-olds could get. Since their intent is only to play football, it's the best deal you could ever imagine. They get the best equipment, the best training, the best medical care to come and play and get an internship. Because they're there to try to get to the next level. Now, that's a sad, tragic, terrible story that rarely works out. But somebody says, I'll pay you for the best internship you could ever want as a football player. None of it has anything to do with the school or academics. None, virtually none of it. There's some guys that do. Okay, so they get an incredible internship paid for across the board. Most of you would have worked 5 jobs in college and still would have received that kind of health care. So are they really getting used? Otherwise, go straight to the NFL. The system there would be far less. It would be far more incentivized. It would be far more difficult, and the benefits would be far less than going to a football factory and given and paid for and coddled with the best internship you could ever want. So there's not a connection to the school nor academics. In most ways, they're not even college students. I know most of you don't care. I think if you went to school there, you should care about that. But they're interns for a few years. They leave with nothing but football skills. And then, many cases, not all, many cases, no longer useful for that program. The internship has run out. You know, people go, oh, the schools used them. Well, my gosh, they got to use the school. Nowhere could you find a better. I don't care, find me the biggest, best law firm in the United States. You would not have an internship like a football player at a football factory. No way. And now you get a bunch of toys and cash. And when you're done, you're no more better off. Whose fault is that? They're not prepared for the marketplace in most cases, not prepared for the world in most cases. They're not any better off because they've used the paid-for internship to get really good at that internship, at that job, and that job ultimately doesn't pay off. Would every one of us take a Lamborghini if offered? Yes, we would. It would be great until that 1099 arrives, no doubt. But this is set up just like when I played. It's just above the board and gaudier, which is hard to believe. You get prizes and handouts, and then it's done in 3 or 4 years, and you're often no better off than when you started. This idea that, ooh, cool, they're getting some stuff. Yes, short term, they're getting some toys and 1099 somewhere along the way. But then that's it. And the internship is over. You know why it's over? Most of you are wrong about this. Most people are wrong about this. Most 17-year-olds are sadly really wrong about this. You assume all 90 guys end up in the NFL. They got this glorious internship, and they end up in the NFL. That's not even close to being true. Let's say, for example, Texas had one of the best years in decades for draft picks. Okay, 10 or 11 players get drafted. Let's just say it's a really good year for a football factory. They get 10 players drafted. Out of that, maybe, and I'm being generous, maybe 4 make a club. Maybe. Out of that, maybe 2 or 3, and that's a stretch probably, ever see a contract of more than 2 or 3 years. So, and now this is after you got a Lamborghini and some toys for a couple years, then what? That's 4 or so out of 85 or 90 guys. The toys and cash are short term. The whole thing, the internship is short term. Then where are the players at 22 or 23? What have they really gained? Like all this stuff about everyone's using what? What is anyone gaining from this at the end of this term? So you can use all that, do with it whatever you want. I think there's a lot more nuance to all the arguments than people want to let on. Is it killing the game? I don't know what you want to do. If you want to say yes, good luck. Make the point. Tell me I'm wrong. If you think they're using the system, just remember what I just said. Tell me I'm wrong there too.